Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really glad you're here. If you're new here, my name is Becca. This channel is all about my love for spinning, knitting, weaving, crocheting, sewing, all the fiber things. I invite you to grab whatever project you have on the go and join me. Let's make some stuff. Today, I thought we could do a fun fall project, crocheting these cute pumpkins. This is a very simple pattern. It is not my pattern. I will share details about where I got the pattern in the description, as always. But this is a simple crochet pattern that can be adapted to many different applications, not just these cute pumpkins. So today we're going to crochet a pumpkin, and I'll talk a little bit about what other things you could use this pattern for. The yarn that I'm using for this project is a 100% Peruvian Highland wool from Knit Picks. For my pumpkin that we're going to crochet together, we're using the colors orange and tarragon for the stem. But you can really use any yarn that you want for this project. It doesn't have to be wool. It doesn't have to be this weight of yarn. There's really no wrong choice with this project. I would suggest, however, that you look at the band for information on recommended hooks. For this Knit Picks palette, it's 21 to 32 single crochets equals 4 inches on B to E hooks. So for this project, I would suggest using a smaller hook because you want the single crochet to be tight and the fiber fill to not poke through. So a smaller hook than you might normally use would be recommended. This was the first one that I made. This is the recommended size of the pattern that we're using. The pattern itself is essentially you crochet a ball starting in the bottom center, crocheted in the round with regular increases, straight sides, and then decreases to the top. And then using a very long tail, you wrap the yarn through the center and pull it tightly around to make the 8 segments of the pumpkin. The stem is then crocheted separately and sewn onto the top. But since you're crocheting just a ball, you don't have to make it into a pumpkin. You could use the same pattern to crochet a ball, stuff it with fiber, and make holiday ornaments or toys. It really is up to you what you want to do and up to your creativity. So we're going to do these pumpkins, and this was the original size. I made a smaller one using just fewer rounds of increases, fewer straight sides, and then finished it off. And so I'm going to make one in the orange and tarragon in sort of the middle size, intermediate to those on the one that we're going to do today. Here are the materials you will need for this project. You'll need yarn in 2 colors. The primary color, we'll use more yarn, and then a small amount of a contrasting color, or green for pumpkins, for the stem. A crochet hook in the smaller size. This is a B hook for this yarn, which recommends B to E sizes. You will need a tapestry needle and a stitch marker. This is an open ring stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round. You'll also need some way to keep track of the rounds for the straight section. I have a ring row marker, row counter, and you'll need fiber fill to stuff. The pumpkins are started in the round in the center of the bottom. You'll start with a ring and then crochet into that ring, increasing on each round so that you have a disc which forms the bottom of the ball or the bottom of the pumpkin. To do that, you'll start with a slip knot in your yarn. Do a few single crochets. I will do about 5. Join with a slip stitch into the first chain on your hook to make a ring. And then the first round, you will single crochet 8 single crochets around in this ring, right into the center. Okay, that should be 8. We're going to count back and make sure and find the first stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my first stitch. I'm going to use my stitch marker to mark the first stitch as the beginning of the round. So that is the center bottom of the pumpkin. And now we're going to do increase rounds until we get to the size that we want. This first increase round, we're going to do increases into every stitch. So that's 2 single crochets into each stitch. We started with 8, so the next round is going to have 16. So there's 1, 2 into our first stitch, 2 into our second stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are back at the start. And we should have 16 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now I'm going to move my stitch marker to the next round on that first stitch. On this round, instead of increasing in every stitch, we're going to have 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets or increase into the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that around. So the first one is just a single crochet. And then we're going to go to the next stitch and do our increase. Then we're going to do a single crochet. And then we're going to do an increase, a single crochet, increase, 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 single crochet, and increase. And now we're back at the start of the round. So on each of the increase rounds, we're going to increase 8 stitches, which means on this next round, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase stitch. So there will be 2 single crochet stitches in between each of the increases. On the even numbered rows, 2, 4, 6, etc., we're going to offset where the increase is. So we'll start this next round with 1 single crochet and then an increase, and then 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets, increase, until we get to the end, and we'll finish off that first section with just a single crochet. Move my stitch marker. So 1 single crochet, increase, and now we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and now do the increase, 1, 2, and increase, 1, 2, and the increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, and then you should have 1 stitch left to make up that first section. So we should now have 24 stitches. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 24 on the previous round. This round has 32 stitches. So the next round is going to have 40 stitches when we're finished. And we're going to increase after every 3 single crochets. On the odd numbered rows, 3, 5, 7, you will start the full single crochets and then do the increase. So we'll do single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. On the even rounds, you're going to have the single crochet sections split. So here we go on the next round, 3 single crochets and then an increase all the way around to get us to 40 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 1, 2, 3, and an increase. And our last stitch of the round is going to be an increase because this is an odd number row. So you see the circle getting bigger. The more rounds you do of increases, the larger the pumpkin is going to be. So the next round is going to be 4. So 4 single crochets and an increase, but we're going to start in the middle. So it'll be 2 single crochets, increase, 4 single crochets, increase, 4, increase, 4, increase, etc. We'll get to the end and we'll do the last increase and have 2 more stitches to make up that set of 4. Then the next round is going to be 5 single crochets, increase around, 6 increase on the next round, so 3 single crochets and an increase, 6 increase, 6 increase until you get to the end. You have 3 final stitches to make up that 6. The larger pumpkin gets all the way to 10 single crochets before the increase, 10 increase, 10 increase, and because it's an even one, we started with 5 increase and then finished off with the 5 single crochets. To make the smaller pumpkin, I got to 6 in the middle, so 6 single crochets increase, 6 increase, 6 increase, with 3 on either side of the start. To make this medium-sized one, so this was 6, this was 10, I'm going to go till we have 8 single crochets in between each increase. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will talk to you again when we finish the bottom. Okay, so I finished my last increase round. Mine was 8 single crochets and then an increase. Because it was even, I started with 4 single crochets before the first increase and then 4 single crochets after the last increase. The large one, again, went to 10 single crochets in between the increases. The small one was 6. This is 8. So now we're ready to start the straight sides. And here's where you're going to want to have your way to count rows. The large one increased for 10 single crochets and then the increase, and then it was straight sides with no increases for 16 rows. The small one, I did increases and then straight sides for 10 rows. And so for this one, I'm going to do straight sides for 14 rows. And for this, we're just going to spiral around, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet all the way around, moving your stitch marker, keeping track of where the start of the row is. See you when I get the straight sides done. I've just completed 14 rounds of single crochet, and now we're ready for the decrease rounds. The decrease rounds will be the opposite of what we did on the bottom. So we're going to start with 6 single crochets and then a decrease. On the next round we'll do 5 single crochets and a decrease, then 4, then 3, and on until we have a very small hole that we can stuff the pumpkin. For the larger one, that meant that our first decrease round was 10 single crochets and a decrease. For the larger one, that means that we were at 6 single crochets and a decrease. And for this one, that means I'm going to do 8 single crochets and then a decrease. On all of them, on even rows, we're going to do half of the first amount of single crochets before the first one. So in this case, we'll do 4 single crochets and then a decrease, 8 decrease, 8 decrease all the way around, ending with 4 single crochets. On the odd rows, then we're going to do the full number of single crochets. So the next round will be 7 single crochets and a decrease, 7 and a decrease, etc. And then 3 and a decrease, 6 and a decrease, ending with 3 single crochets. So we're going to do that all the way around until we get a small hole in the center down to 16 stitches. Then we're going to stuff it and then we'll finish it up. We're going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease. And to do the decreases, we're going to do insert the hook, pull up a loop, go into the next one, insert the hook, pull up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over and go through all 3 of the loops on the hook. And that's 1 decrease. Now we're going to do 8 single crochets and then a decrease around. That's 8, and then we decrease, insert, pull up a loop, insert into the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over and through 3. Decrease, and then we have 4 single crochets left to finish the round. I'm going to move our marker. And on this round we're going to do 7 single crochets and then the decrease all the way around. That was 7, and here's the decrease, just as before. Insert, pull 1 through, into the next one, pull 1 through, yarn over, and then through 3. We have 2 left, and we're going to decrease those. Okay. Move our marker. And the next round is 6 single crochets and a decrease, but we're going to do the first half split to finish the round. So the next round is going to be 5 single crochets and then a decrease for the next round, 3 the next round, then 2, then 1. I'm going to work on this and come back in a minute when we're closer to the end. I'm now ready for the round with 2 single crochets and a decrease. Because it's an even round, we're going to start in the middle, so it's going to be 1 single crochet, and then decrease, then 2 single crochets and a decrease all the way around, two single crochets and a decrease, and with 1 single crochet, move the marker, and on this final round before the stuffing we're going to do 1 single crochet, decrease, 1 single crochet, decrease all the way around. Okay, you should have 16 stitches ready for stuffing. Go ahead and remove that marker Make sure you have plenty of loop so you don't pull out your stitches while you're doing the stuffing. And I'm just using a polyester fiber fill. A little bit more. It doesn't need to be too tightly packed because you want to be able to squeeze in for the little segments. A little bit more. That feels pretty good. And now we're going to do a decrease in every stitch all the way around, down to 8 stitches, and then one more round down to 4 stitches. And that will be the end of the pumpkin body. Okay, so now we're going to cut a very long tail, close to 4 feet. We're going to take our tapestry needle and we're going to make the segments. Before we do that, we're going to finish off the yarn. So we're going to pull that long tail through. And now we can make the segments. So we're going to thread our tapestry needle and we're going to go straight down through the center of the bottom. There we go. And pull that all the way through. And we're going to make the divot in the center by pulling it snug. And we're going to come around one side, back through the top, and back through the center of the bottom. This is going to make the first segment. Just going to feed it through, make sure it lines up nicely where you want it to be, and pull it a little bit tight, and that's going to make the segments. So hang on to that, turn it around, and come around the other side, through the top, and down through the center of the bottom. We're going to pull it through. And make the segment on the other side. Hold that tight where you want it, and then we're going to come 90 degrees and we're going to make the cross around through the top, through the center of the bottom, turn it around to the other side, around through the top, back through the center of the bottom, we're going to turn and do the other cross to make 8 equal or roughly equal segments. And now we're going to tie it off. We're going to turn it over to the bottom. I'm holding it so that it is still tight, and now I'm just going to make tie this knot to the existing fabric so that it's secure in place. Now we're going to just feed this up through the fabric, back up to the top, or somewhere to the side. And we're just going to hide the end in the center. Just like that. Next, we're going to make the little stem. These are just a flat crocheted back and forth strip that's folded on its side, crocheted around down one end, and then secured by sewing in. The large one, the main pattern, the original pattern, had you do 7 stitches. So this is 7 stitches and folded. For the small one, I did 5 stitches and folded. So for this one, I'm going to do 6. We'll start with a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to just single crochet across 6 crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1 and turn. That's your first stitch. And then single crochet across. This will be 2, 3, 4, did it in the wrong one to begin with. So that was your first stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1 and turn. And we'll just go back and forth until it is as long as we need it. The long one for the large one was 19 rounds. I did 12 for the small one. And we'll do 15 for the medium. And I counted ridges, not rows, so every ridge is 2 rows, one on the front and one on the back. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that's enough for this one. It's going to be folded around. You can really decide how long you want your stem to be, but I think that looks pretty good. We're going to hold that finished off piece with the last stitch on the top. We're going to fold it in half. And we're going to go through the first side and then through the second side, and we're going to single crochet down the edge, connecting the two sides together. And so when you get to the end, just break the yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew this onto the pumpkin. Pull it through. And now we're going to use the tails to sew it onto the pumpkin. So take your tapestry needle, decide where you want it to be. And just sew it down. And just like with the other end, we're going to stick this down through the bottom and hide it in the middle of the stuffing. And we're just going to snip those off. And there we have it. Our pumpkins are complete. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed making these fall pumpkins crocheted with me and that you'll try it yourself. Thank you so much for spending some of your creative time with me. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!